with Mr. Bruno, and I've just been instructed that we're going to do a very random, very fluid interview, and we're just going to kind of go where the interview takes us, whatever topic may light up. So I'm just going to start off with something very, how would you say it, lighthearted, and nothing that too deep or intense, but religion. What are your views on religion, Mr. Bruno? Okay. That's his way of refuting arguments without actually expressing words.
No. I believe that they all started the same, and a lot of it was a creation story for a group of people. But the problem I have with it now, because we're so much more global than a tribal community, it's not just how we were created, but the enemy across the way it was created as well. It kind of, almost all of them teach that one way or another, that this is who we are the people, the good people. And those people are there, they're evil, they weren't created by God, and so on and so forth. And because of that, I don't really tend to fully embrace religion the way some people do because of that.
Okay. Would you say, like, what about some religions that profess to promote love?
I don't disagree with any of those religions. I mean, it's just one of those things where you have to not just understand the mythology of it, you also, as you mentioned, study the history of it.
Okay.
And that's just kind of the history of all. And don't get me wrong, sometimes the enemy, was truly a despicable race or whatever, to whoever the people were. Mm-hmm. But since we're kind of globalized, it's really hard to harp on something that happened 300 BC.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about harping on it, because I know a lot of people who are drawn to the ideals, quote-unquote ideals, like Christianity and the Judeo mindset. They're really drawn to the ideals because they're very, how would you say, novel ideas. But in practice, they take a look at the religions and say, well, okay, this is what they're doing, but this is what your religion teaches. It's far more obvious, brought to you by Coca-Cola, far more obvious that your actions are what you're doing. So I was actually getting somewhere with that. I kind of lost my train of thought there, just seeing that Coca-Cola can. But do you think any other areas of life can be harmful like that, like say patriotism, or politics even, or even one's views on morality in general, or philosophy, or anything other than religion? Do you think it has proved harmful in the past?
To a point. Like there's people within different sects and different religions, different denominations of Christianity that I've kept complete respect for.
Sure.
Because they explain their ideals and they live up to them. And because of that, I appreciate them and respect them. However, there are some who get lost in their ideals. I believe more in principles than in laws.
Okay, yes.
And within that, I mean, there is a guideline of how we should live in terms of the principle. This is a general route we should live. But we always need to make a decision when something happens. Mm-hmm. So, not everything's black and white. That has to be processed. Because too many times I feel people will look at whatever religion they're in and they'll have a yes or no for everything.
Okay.
And because of that, they really just become a cow, part of the herd, and they're used for something that their religion professes that they're against.
Okay. So, like, okay, I'll just throw this out here, since most people are familiar with the concept. You know, if we all have heard of the Golden Rule, you know, love your neighbor as yourself. That's the whole principle of that. You wouldn't kill your neighbor if you loved them. You wouldn't beat the shit out of them if you loved your neighbor. You wouldn't steal from them. You wouldn't lie, cheat, blah, blah, blah. So can you think of any other principles that you live by? Because in each of those circumstances, just like you said, you'd have to ask yourself, is that loving? If I'm loving my neighbor as myself, would I do this or that? And that's something everyone has to figure out on their own, on a day-to-day basis. Would I be loving to do this or that or this? Couldn't you think of any other principles that you personally like to live by?
I personally can't say I have any defined principles. The unfortunate nature of myself is more of a process of discovery. William Butler Yeats said, "Man can embody truth, but he cannot know it." And so what he's saying is, a person can live a truly spiritual life, holy life. They can really find the truth, but they cannot know it. They cannot profess they know it. And that's kind of where I'm at. Occasionally I might find wording from one of my favorite poets, philosophers, comedians, someone in general, or I'll agree with them and understand it and respect it, and I'll use that as a supplement to defining something I'm not quite sure how to explain yet.
Okay. I noticed, like, before in our discussions, you've said that in a way, in a sense, and I've kind of stumbled on this a few years ago, that poetry, in essence, has become like a core part of your personal belief system, and that you tend to lean towards more of that. Just wondering, why do you feel that you've chosen poetry to be your venue for that discovery of obtaining more truth?
Personally, like, I just always liked writing, but then I kind of just start reading more about philosophies, religions, and spirituality in general when I was 18 and 19, and just discovered a lot about Buddha, and one form of his meditation was actually writing.
Okay.
And for me, I think a lot of people have a misconception of meditation as humming like this and thinking about nothing.
Right.
But really you're thinking about one sole thing and this universe, one sole problem, this Coca-Cola can, this pen, whatever it may be, and you're slowly trying to define it. And by writing, it really helped me define a lot of different things. My personality, my place or my ego within the reservation and off the reservation, and so on and so forth.
Okay. So you're just saying kind of your personal, basically your personal likes of your love of the art of writing was really what's kind of stemmed that, or?
Yeah, definitely. Like it just made me go out and into that area, and slowly it's become so much a part of me and who I am. I cannot go outside of that realm, and without it, I can't define me anymore. Just like a lot of people with religion can't define themselves without their religion. It's helped me understand a lot of different things, the way the world worked, the way the world was set up. One of my favorite authors, Joseph Campbell, said, find one author, and if you like him, read all the books that he ever wrote, and then read everything that he ever read. And from that point, you'll gather a viewpoint of how you can view the world. And poetry has done that same thing for me.
Okay. All right. Not to cut it too short here, but we're approaching that limit that we talked about earlier. So we could keep following this, or we could cut and go to a different topic, or continue this.
We can cut this now and we'll continue on the next.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to break for a commercial there, but again, folks, brought to you by Coca-Cola.